Good morning. It's Erica of AriBo Arts, and we're here for Battmaking with AriBo Arts. I had promised that, or written that I would be doing the September palette of the month here in Wool and Fiber Arts, WAFA. But I haven't pulled anything, and I'm actually not sure I actually have any of that sort of pink color. That's the whatever kind of flower that is. I don't know my flowers very well. It's not a black-eyed Susan, I don't know it, or sunflower. So I think what I'm going to do instead is just make a bat. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let me tilt you down a little bit, and hopefully you will not tip forward. Also a reminder that my phone has been, battery has been not keeping it chargeable. So I can usually do a half an hour okay, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, so I have in front of me roving that I got in Michigan from a company called, business called Random Rovings, Fleece and Fiber. We're going to do this color. Mainly because I got some bamboos that I think will work well with that. So let me grab a few things. I've tossed a bunch of stuff around, and so it is a bit of a mess. Let's see if that's close enough or too close. This is an anemone. So I got like, I think crush would be better. Let's see. Those are. I've got this whole bag of stuff that I used for class in Colorado this summer. I think it's mainly locks, but let me see what else is in there. Ooh, those are kind of fun. Those are, I think they're Leicester Longwool locks. So are there any other things in here that I might want to pull out? Mostly locks. Oh no, I got some other fun things in here. Let's see. Comer's Noil. I got an orange. I got hemp in green. Ooh, that green looks kind of nice. Let's see what else I got in here. This is blue tussle silk. Oh, I like that. Better than the bamboo. Bamboo we're going to toss over there. Let's see what else I got. Pulled sorry silk and pink. That's too many colors. I'm working with too many colors here. I definitely like that. And that. Put the pink away. And the orange is kind of fun. But maybe a tiny bit. I'm actually going to put the purple away. It's too muddy. Let's see what else I got. All the good stuff is falling to the bottom. Ooh. Bamboo topping green. Different green than that. I don't like those two greens together. Let's see what else I got. Tinsel. Obviously, the person I got this from did a lot of green dyeing. Because that is, so that's hemp. I'm going to do this, which is tinsel. I think that'll feel better. The hemp is going to be kind of rough. Because it's hemp. Okay, so I'm going to put those back. Now, let's see what we got to work with here. I kind of do like the orange. So we got the blue. I definitely want to put the blue tussle silk with it. Or sorry, the teal there. It's just a matter of which of these. This is brighter, crisper. I think this is too muddy. So we got tinsel, we got tussle silk. I really want to put the orange in there. So we'll put the orange in there. That might be all we do. Okay, we toss that back in a bamboo bag. Okay. So this is, because the Random Rovings, they're all sorts of mixed things. This one is Coopworth. It's teal heather is the color. They're out of Michigan. So I'm going to try and find the end. I haven't made bats in a couple of days. I went camping this past weekend, and I did some spinning and plying there, and some weaving. And since I've been back, I mainly have just been weaving and doing other stuff. I've got a show next week that I have to leave for, so there's no demo next week. Okay. I will be hopefully not even in Iowa. I'm planning on leaving in the middle of the night or early morning, like 3, which means it'll probably end up being 4, but 5 hours I think I can get out of Iowa. Headed to Texas and try and do it all in one day. That should be very interesting. Okay, so Cooper has a big halo on it. So it will be looking very fuzzy. Okay. Kind of did want bamboo, but we'll do this without bamboo in it. Okay, let's put the tencel on first. So it's a little kinky. And tencel is definitely one of those things that you want to paint on. It's going to act a lot like silk. It's like a faux. People use it as a faux silk. Okay. Now we're going to want the pop of the Tessa silk in this nice blue. I think it's great because the color is teal, so we're using 2 items that are essentially the components. Blue and the green. Okay, let's pull this apart. And then, I don't think I need a full slice. We'll see how it's a little lighter on the inside. I like that. And the orange is just screaming at me. It wants to be used, so we're going to use it. So to get the bag open, get rid of the tape. It's packing tape. Okay, so this is Mulberry Silk Combers Noil, which is essentially a silk waste product. And it's like slubby stuff. I don't use a lot of it when I use it. Though this is looking a little different than the last time I bought this from her. This is looking more like it's not like the last silk slub I got from her. We may not be using this. Look how long that staple is. That's not usable for this. I might save it for felting. I'm not sure why she labeled it this, because I do think it is silk, but it is not. Noil should be not over 1 inch in length, and that definitely is over 1 inch in length. So let me look and see what else I have that I could put in. I want to stay orange. I have 2 bamboos, Carrot and Cleo. This I feel would be muted. This would be really bright. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I like the bright. Okay. So there will be bamboo in it. So what we'll do is we'll take just a little bit like this and we'll test it to see how it looks. I think it looks darn fine. There we go. Got the other side of the color wheel. Okay. Let's just keep building. Gotta find my end again. I'm just sort of flattening this out a bit. This also lets me check for VM, though this, having used other balls from them. They don't seem to have much of an issue with VM. They're pretty darn clean. Get a little more over here. That piece right there. You feel a little bit of VM there. Yeah, I had a big box of garment blanks arrive yesterday. And so I'm going to put the orange down first this time. I will be heading into the dye lab. As planned anyways. Who knows if I stick with it or not. Though I've sorted everything and loaded it into the van. We're just going to use all of it. And then I'm going to try and do one load today, or maybe it'll be tomorrow. I don't know. Depends if I get distracted by other things. Essentially, I just need 4 days before I leave next Wednesday to do this. Oh, I like that orange and the green there together. That looks very nice. This is the Tulsa silk. Because it takes, you have to stuff it, you dye it, and then it has to sit roughly 24 hours. You can do it in like 18. And then you come back and then you have to rinse and wash everything, which takes longer. Surprise, surprise. Not right. Okay, let's find the other end. Not sure what's going on here. So I figured I'll do 3 loads. I have like 5 bags already dyed up. Left over. My last show was Michigan Fiber Festival. Oh, no, that's what I was looking at. Okay. Where I had the booths there were larger, so I had 5 racks of clothes. The show I'm going to, I will only have space for 3 racks. And I've got a little it's called a clothier, which is like, there's a flat metal piece on the ground, stick, and then a rod that sticks out maybe that long that you can hang stuff on. I usually put the overalls, the jumpsuits on there. And I have no idea how much restocking. Normally, when I do a show, everything I have is out. Eloise just walked by to use the bathroom. So if you hear sort of scratching noises, that's her in the litter box. And I don't know if you can hear her. So I will probably have enough that I can hold some back to restock, because I like full racks, but I don't want them so overfull that people can't get into them. And then of course I have to make more bats, and I've got some hand spun I need to get off the bobbins and wash, and I want to get a couple more skeins done. I picked up some Rambouillet braids in a colorway that was called Defying Gravity. And so they're very sort of rose tea party feeling to me. And so I'd like to get those done. You know, I can always wash them in the hotel sink. I have done that in the past. And I know I am not the only person. So there's the tinsel again. So yeah, and I got a couple commissions that I have to do as well. Plus contact people for commissions that are done, that they've been done for a while, but I haven't been gotten around to like doing all the figuring out on them, the paperwork. So I'm gonna end up doing that today. We'll see. Hey, Eloise. She sat down, stared at me, and now she turned away and walked away. I think she's gonna go take a nap in a sunbeam downstairs. Other thing I have to do today, I've been putting it off, so I got to get it done. When I packed up my tent this weekend when I was camping, the bottom of the tent was damp, and then the ground cloth was damp on both sides. It hadn't rained, but dew and all of that. So I just sort of shoved them in their bags, but I don't have a place I can stretch them out at home, so I have a friend who said I could come over and put them on her lawn. And I didn't do it on Monday because it was super, super windy. And then I just didn't get to it yesterday. So I got to get those dried out before they get gross. What are we doing here? Poopworth is another one of these where it's deceptive about how thick. Like you're thinking, oh, it's really super thick. It's going to be super heavy. And then you weigh it and it's like 2 ounces. I'm just going to randomly break off another piece here. That looks good. So yeah, so I had a great time camping over the weekend. It was cold, and I'm so glad that, like, as I was packing my bag, I said, I was wearing ankle pants, and I was like, let's put in a heavier pair of pants. And it's supposed to get cold at night. It got down into the lower 40s at night. So I'm like, pack 2 pairs of wool socks, because you can wear those at night. And pack a pair of joggers that you could sleep in if you had to. And then I was like, and maybe pack a fleece. Maybe pack a coat. And make sure the gloves are in the pocket. And I used all of those. In fact, I wore socks all weekend. I'm one of these people, like, in May, I switched to sandals, and I don't put socks on again, unless I'm going out to my garden. I have garden boots that I wear socks with, but otherwise I do not wear socks all summer long. And I am resistant to get back into sock wearing. But I did it this weekend. Of course, I wore them with these sort of, they're not really sandals, but they're sort of sneakers, but like they have back straps, and they're like a Mary Jane style. But yeah, so there was a couple times, particularly when because it was windy too, and I was right next to a lake, and the wind was coming from the west and all that. So, okay, let's do maybe one more. Yeah, this is feeling a little thinner over here soon. Right? Of course, I could always weigh the ball and see what's left, right? Let's do that. Just for curiosity's sake. But yeah, I had a great time. I slept in the van, and I set up my tent. Because you're like, but if you slept in the van, why do you have the tent? I set up the tent. Oh, this is exactly 2 ounces left. So this might be our last layer. I had the tent so that I could put the fiber equipment in there, because if I had the fiber equipment in the van, I could sleep in the van. And so it was protected, and also that if the mosquitoes got bad, I could hang out in my tent, because my tent is big enough to stand in, and so I changed my clothes and VM. I thought, and if we had any rain showers, I could be in there as well. So the tent was more of sort of a storage place and all that, but it did get damp. Did not have any fun creatures when I packed it up. When I packed it up in... Was it in... When I packed it up in Fargo back in August... Oh, there's more VM. Perfectly aligned, so I didn't see it. In Fargo, I rolled up the tent and the ground cloth was still down, and there was this big, huge honking cicada, like staring at, like round, and I was just like, okay, you need to like scoot off and get on the grass. And then in Michigan, there was a big, huge Luna moth. I think it was a Luna moth. It was a giant moth. It may not have been a Luna moth, but it was. Yeah, this is getting very full here. It was a big moth. I did not have any critters. I did, however, have acorns and walnuts. It was a wooded site, and there were a lot of oak, and there were also, I think, some maples, and also some walnuts. And when those walnuts fell in the middle of the night on the top of the van, I woke up. They were loud. Okay, give me an end. Make an end. There we go. And it was nice. There was also, one of the reasons I picked that campsite and decided to do it in general, this little sort of mini retreat, is there were some campers there who have a very particular type of camper that I'm interested in, maybe someday getting, but they're made in Florida, and I don't really go to Florida. And so they tend to have these rallies where they gather. And so this was the Midwest rally. And so there were only like, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the, maybe 7 of the campers? Maybe 8. And then there was one guy who they called a SOB, which stands for some other brand. So he had owned this camper before, but due to health reasons, needed some different requirements. And so he was there with his alternative camper. And then there was another person who showed up late who just brought a tent, but he was like friends with most of the people in the group, so he showed up late. But what was nice is all the models that I was interested in looking at were represented, and all the people let me get in their campers. They're very, very small, and let me like sit or lie down in them so I could get a sense of, were they too small for me? And we talked about, the quirks of them and things they'd done. And there's one guy who had the bigger one who'd just gotten back from being up in Alaska and had been in Denali, and it was a lot of fun. And they said next year, even if I don't have a camper, by then I can come back and hang out with them. So that was very nice. Okay, I think that is our last layer. I'm going to clean these up just a little bit so I have space to work with. Okay. Get the scale out. Get a piece of paper out too. Oh, looks like I have to cut up more paper. That's what all that white pile right there is. That is paper to be cut up. Essentially, it's the back side of my stickers. Because waste not, want not. My mother would be so proud of me. Okay, so we got Coopworth. And so I would just write down all the ingredients and then the weight, and then write layered there in a second. But first we'll take the bat off. But if you do have a name suggestion, let me know. It's also the time where you can guess how much this weighs. I would suggest you guess on the lower end of the scale. So typically my bats are 2 to 3 ounces. The biggest bat I think I've ever made on here was like 3.8 or 3.9, but that was with merino top. And my guess is this is going to be closer. This could even be under 2 ounces, but I don't know. So hard to tell with Coopworth because I don't know if can you see how fuzzy it is? Okay, so I'm going to take this end here, stick it back down here. So I will be in the September WAFA sale. I've already put up my event, so if you want to go and mark interested or going, that would be great. I am the first person on Saturday of the sale weekend. Get this knitting needle in case I need to free up some fiber. And the theme this month is literary, sort of books and all that. I'm actually not going with a theme. I often don't. I may still make some bats that have. So if you have a literary idea for the name of this one, go right ahead and suggest it. I'm actually celebrating Heloise's birthday. I adopted her in June of 2021, and they said she was 9 months old, which means she was born in September. I think the vet has decided it's September 1st, but no. I think I'm going with September 15th, though obviously we'll have a late celebration. I think it's the 27th is when my sale is. So we're having Heloise's birthday bash. Heloise will probably not be in attendance because she's a cat. She doesn't like to be picked up, so I can't show her off on the camera. And so she'll probably be asleep during it. I pretty much guarantee it. Okay. Here we go. Now afterwards, what I'm going to do is go and tease it out. Look how thick that is. That is incredibly thick. Okay? It's all that air. So what I'm going to do is roll it, turn on the scale, and if you want to take a guess, go right ahead. This video will also show up on YouTube later today, would be my guess. So if you want to guess there too, go right ahead. Okay, tear that out so it's a 0. And then we put in the fluffy batch. I can call it fluffy. Okay. Did you guess? It is 2.3. It's fluctuating just a little bit. 3/8 ounces. So this may or may not be in the WAFA sale. It's probably going to go to my in-person sale next week. But if nobody buys it, it'll be available at the WAFA sale at the end of the month. Okay? I'm probably going to make another one of these. Actually, I think I have more of this. I might make 3. I don't know. We will see. But yeah, so I will take photos of this and post it up in the WAFA group later today or in the next couple of days. Okay? So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you around on Facebook and on YouTube.